very serious faces up here, aren't there?
You can't catch this fish with conventional lures.
I'm sorry? The lure being?
Danny Francesco.
The movie star.
Greg Simmons' favourite movie star.
And how do we get him? Blackmail. Ruse de Guerre. Very good. Carry on.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 action comedy Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre. The film is directed by Guy Ritchie and it stars Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, Carrie Ells, Hugh Grant, Josh Hartnett and Bugsy Malone. Now the film essentially is Guy Ritchie's take on Mission Impossible, I guess, and it focuses on some item that nobody seems to know what it is or what it does, but it is deemed to be very, very important indeed. Is stolen, and it is put out there on the open market for sale by Hugh Grant's character Greg, who is like the world's most famous arms dealer. Now, Jason Statham is recruited by the British government, or Nathan, played by Carrie Ells, to put a team together. So he puts two people in his team, Sarah and JJ, played by Aubrey Plaza and Bugsy Malone, and they set off to try and retrieve this item before it is let loose upon the world, causing chaos and mayhem. And along the way, they get into all sorts of escapades and adventures. Right, what are my thoughts on Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre? At least that's what I think you're supposed to say, Ruse de Guerre. I'm not exactly sure. They do pronounce it once in the film, but I forget. Right, what are my thoughts on the film? Well, to be honest, there are moments in this film where it all feels a little bit, I've seen this all before. But there is also an undeniable charm with this film that makes it almost impossible to dislike. This is now I think is it the fifth time that Jason Statham and Guy Ritchie have worked together, so they know each other very, very well. At this point in his career, Jason Statham, he can kind of do these characters blindfolded, cool, calm, confident, and very, very skilled. And he plays the role quite well. I suppose this is his version of James Bond to a large degree. He's quick-witted, he's very, very skilled with our firearms and bare hands, and, he kind of breezes his way through the film, and he is Jason Statham, and he's playing Jason Statham. He doesn't stretch his acting ability at all, but it's a character we kind of enjoy to watch. I think the two main standouts in this film for me that were a real joy to watch was Carrie Ells' character Nathan, who's like the guy that he's their boss. He's Jason Statham's boss, basically. He's very, very funny and again very charming. And I thought it was only going to be a really small part. And while he's not plastered all over this film, when he does appear, it's a delight, and I thought he was really, really good in the film. But I think the guy that steals this film, he basically wraps it up, puts this film in his pocket and buggers off home, is Hugh Grant as Greg, who plays like this arms dealer. It's a bit of a spin on his character from The Gentleman. Less sleazy, I suppose, but still quite sleazy. And I think Hugh Grant you could argue is getting to the twilight of his career. He's putting in some of the finest performances I've seen from Hugh Grant. And he is clearly developing into a wonderful character actor. I'll be honest, when Hugh Grant was young and he was like doing all these romantic comedies, I despised him and his movies. I thought Blocks of Wood could act better than Hugh Grant when he was young. But I'm happy to say that I do not think that is the case now. I think Hugh Grant is understanding and recognising where he is in his career, and he's having a great, great time putting these characters together. He was great in The Gentleman, he was great in Dungeons and Dragons, and this is probably my favourite performance out of the three of them. He's brilliant in this film. So good, very funny. and he makes the film undeniably better every time he's on screen. Now, in between all that, you've got the usual go here, follow this person, tap into this person's phone, break into this house, steal this information, and it's all very standard stuff. There are times in this film where you're kind of like, this is dull. You know, it's not offering anything, this. It's what I've seen all before. And then it's almost like the next scene makes up for it. I think if those scenes where you kind of like, this is too close to the bone in regards to its rip-off of Mission Impossible, if it didn't give us the alternatives, which would be like the next scene where you get like the characters having a conversation and it's quite funny and witty and amusing, I think this film would easily have been categorized as, you know, carbon copy. It's a low rank copy of like a Mission Impossible film, but it does stand out as being different enough, even though there are times where you will be, it's undeniable that it is definitely like a Mission Impossible film. It's definitely a lot of fun to watch at times, but it will definitely not change your world either at the same time. And essentially what they have to do, because the Hugh Grant character, they need to get close to the Hugh Grant character, so they have to recruit Josh Hartnett, who is a famous movie star, and he happens to be Greg's favourite movie star, Hugh Grant's character. So they recruit him into the team in order to get close to the Hugh Grant character, and that again leads to some amusing encounters and all this kind of stuff. It's quite a lot of fun how they kind of work that. And initially, while I found I'm not what you would say a big fan of Aubrey Plaza. I'm not really a fan of her style of humour, but early on in the film, I thought I was going to find her character annoying, but her character definitely grew on me. And they also have this added element where you've got Jason Statham's team doing their job, and then there's also a rogue team led by a guy called Mike. Now, initially, you're kind of like, this is going to get old fast, because every time they do something, or every time they try and steal something, or every time they're trying to get some information, or whatever it is, it seems Mike's always one step ahead of them. They kind of get there before them, or they'll get whatever they're after first, or they'll put some kind of spanner in the works. And you think this is going to get old fast. It feels like, you know, an inside joke, or, you know, that they went too far. But in actual fact, it doesn't. It's another one of those plot devices that actually does grow on you, and you get a brilliant payoff at the end too with that plot line. So this is probably much better than it deserves to be. I think that's down to the cast and obviously the competent direction from Guy Ritchie, who is turning out, I think, to be, well, I mean, he's always been a great director, but if you look at the evolution of his career, you know, from like British gangster films to like glitzy Hollywood movies now, he is really a very, very competent director, and I'm actually a much bigger fan of this than I expected to be. But don't get me wrong, there are moments in this film where it is a bit of a slog. There are moments in this film where it does feel very, very familiar, and not in a good way, but there are also moments in this film where the charm and the competent direction and the fun action scenes do elevate it as well to make it a little bit better, as I said, than it deserves to be. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.